All right, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Hope you had a good day. I'm going to start the countdown right now, and I'll see you guys in about 3 minutes. So don't go anywhere. Live stream imminent. All right, see you guys soon. And if you're watching on the replay, feel free to skip ahead. Yeah, here you go. So true. I'm telling you, thevincedao nationalism, literally the future of the Republican Party. You cannot stop it. Yo, look, I'm the baby now.
This monument will never be desecrated. These heroes will never be defaced. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
John, thoughts on thevincedao nationalism?
Oh, I mean, I've been campaigning that for the better part of 3 years now. Before I even knew Vince, it actually appeared to me in a dream, and I just have sort of been trying to subtly, when they say John Doyle dog whistles, he does, but not in the way they think. It's always about thevincedao nationalism. They say I'm like a white nationalist. No, I'm a Vince.
Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo as long as we are led by politicians who will not put America first. Then we can be assured that other nations will not treat America with respect, the respect that we deserve. The American people will come first once again.
Millions of Americans sincerely love Donald Trump. They love Donald Trump because no one else loved them. The country they built, the country their ancestors fought for over hundreds of years, has left them to die in their unfashionable little town, mocked and despised by the sneering half-wits with finance degrees but no actual skills who seem to run everything all of a sudden.
Okay, and we are live. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to tonight's stream. We have returned from a short mini vacation in Louisiana. Had a great time. We'll talk about that actually a little bit later in the stream. But right, to get started off the gate here, all right, let me kind of give the lineup for tonight. So news cycle, honestly, a little bit slow. I did want to get a live stream in because we haven't made content for a few days. So I wanted to get it in, talk to you guys, but it'll be kind of more of an open stream tonight. But one thing I did want to talk about and kind of expand upon is just simply more instances of when it comes to the issue of private employer mandates, which are a big deal and which are being imposed on millions and millions of people, you still continuously are getting people in the movement making excuses for private mandates, in the under the guise of free market capitalism, this and that. We'll be talking about that. We've talked about it before, but it is something I want to expand upon and something I want to, there are more instances of this happening. We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about this whole hype over a potential war with China over Taiwan. Well, I'll actually give my takes on that and kind of explain why the whole thing is kind of actually an unrealistic distraction. And then finally, I don't know if we have time, maybe we can discuss the Twitter drama or something like that. Before I begin, though, let me get to the super chats. Noah Boyd sends $10. Thank you very much. He says, "Let's go." It's so true. It's so true. That is the phrase. That is truly the phrase that the globalists fear. It's so true. We got a John Doyle in chat. I don't know if this is the real John Doyle, though. I have a feeling this is a fake John Doyle. Immediately when I saw it, I was like, oh shoot, John is actually in chat. But upon people interacting with John, I realized it's probably a fake John Doyle. So I'm not really sure. Noah says, John, read Wild at Heart. I don't think you're speaking to the real John Doyle, to be honest. But thank you for the super chat. Okay. Anyways, guys, with that being said, we'll get right into the stream tonight. We'll kind of start off with the first thing I wanted to talk about, which is this post right here. Okay, and this is something that, and actually, let me start off by saying, Joey Salads, or I think he goes by Joey Saladino now. I mean, I actually don't have problems with the guy. We've interacted before. I'm okay with him on a personal level, but this is something that he's really been picking as his hill to die on, which is, defending the act of corporations imposing, and businesses in general, imposing widespread vaccine mandates. And this, by the way, is certainly not something exclusive to him. I mean, I kind of point this out as the example for tonight, and we'll talk about this tonight, especially in response to, Texas and a few other states actually putting bans on all mandates, right? Not just the public ones or whatever. By the way, Florida, what are you doing? Where are you on this issue, right? We've talked about that before. We talked about it on last stream. But anyways, let's get into this, okay? Let's talk about this, okay, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So here you go. And like I said, not trying to single out Joey. We like Joey. I like Joey. But an example, and just kind of one example of what we're talking about here. So it says Texas has banned vaccine, and let me read it so I can give the whole take kind of fairly and then respond to it. Okay. So Texas has banned vaccine mandates. Unpopular fact: this is actually unconstitutional. Leave it up to the free market and the people to decide, not the government. Okay. And there's a whole. Let's read this to be fair to him. So it says banning a mandate equals good. Adding a mandate that is an inverse of the previous mandate equals bad. Hate me all you want for saying this, but I am 100% correct here. Greg Abbott is going to fine businesses that require the jab. Also, HIPAA laws do not apply in any of the situations. If you believe in the free market, you will know the best solution is to let the market be free. Even Ron DeSantis lost a court case from the cruise lines when he tried to force them to not require vaccines. Okay, a court case. Yeah, that's your example. The examples I put forward in the context of states that have no mandates one way or the other, so businesses can be free to make choices based off of demand of the people. Well, the Democrats are doing is not an excuse to give up on our fundamental principles. I choose, I think he means to stand on them because I believe in them. You must not really believe in them. Texas already had no mandates by business issues because there are no mandates, so businesses were free to operate based on demand. What Abbott did was unnecessary. Was it really unnecessary? Because there's also a federal mandate in place, which is a confusing take. But the free market was already working in Texas. What Abbott did was no necessary. Okay, I think he means not necessary. But okay, let's get into this. Let's talk about this. Okay, so let me first start off by saying in response to this that I understand his take in the sense that his take is that the free market comes first. The free market, quote unquote, is a principle that we hold, and therefore it is not worth the cost of the convenience of not having to deal with any mandates from your employer, regardless of whether or not it's supply and demand or whether or not this or that. Let me actually respond to that by stating that this really is our take, and I think this is the problem when here's the deal. When you operate, and I will, to be fair to Joey, when you operate in the generic conservative sort of dogma of the free market, this is inevitably what you're going to end up with, right? Because he does actually make a point. he makes a point not to people like us, not to people who don't really have that view on the economy, but to like the generic sort of normie mainstream conservatives. It is actually a point that Joey raises. You guys claim to be about the free market. You care so much about the free market. All your posters that you sell, you do college lectures all about free markets, this and that. And then all of a sudden, when it comes to this specific issue where the market is actually doing something you don't want, hey, why are you infringing on the free market? Greg Abbott, don't you campaign on the free market? This and that. That's true. But I would counter that. And my response to this is that, well, that's actually not a principle for me. Like the free market, here I think is the difference. And here's how conservatives ought to view the free market versus how they do view the free market. Because what do I always say and what do we always say? Well, you can talk in abstract about free market and, property rights all you want, whatever. But again, this is what we usually say. In pragmatic reality, you are not truly free, quote unquote, in that market. And that market is not actually making your life better if most major businesses mandate this thing, you know what I mean? And you're not actually free in this market if the company you're working for is firing you this and that for refusing to comply with the mandate. If the stores you want to go to, the restaurants you want to go to, if it actually takes something that makes you unfree to be able to fully participate in the free market, functionally speaking, yes, technically, according to your philosophy books, true. That is allowed under the free market, correct? But that is the choice of a private institution, a private entity to do what they're going to do. But in reality, for the average citizen, that is not something that makes it free. It's a pragmatic statement. Sam Matson says free market equal cringe, awful cities and suburbs thrive and rurals die. It's true. It's true. Now, that's what we usually say in response to this. It's like, hey, buddy, extend the logical, like, why do you like the free market? Don't you actually like freedom? Shouldn't we make society more free? This and that. That's usually what we say. But at this point, I'm starting to realize maybe it's time to really say what we really think and explain to these people what we really think, which is that we really, to be totally honest, don't care much for the free market at all, for the free quote unquote market. That's not to say that we're pro command economies or anything like that, because those suck and those don't work and those are inefficient and those make quality of life worse, this and that. But it is to say that for us, the free market really is not some type of like principle that we hold tightly dear. I mean, we see the free market essentially as a utility. And I'm going to explain why this should be the sort of conservative principle that we hold and not some, I don't know who even came up with this whole, like, if you don't believe in Austrian economics, you're not a conservative. But the free market, right, that's all it is. It is simply a utility. And to the extent to which that utility, that tool, right, makes our life better, improves things, right, allocates resources more efficiently, doesn't cause shortages, doesn't make people starve. Sure, the free market's okay. But that really is it. That really is it. See, we don't view the free market as some type of moral principle, because understand that's where someone like Joey is coming from. Essentially, what he's saying is that the free market is not just kind of a utility that I view to be useful. It is a principle that I hold. And even further, what he'd probably end up saying ultimately, I'm just going to guess. Hold on, I got to plug in my computer. I forgot to do that so that we don't so it doesn't die on us. And everyone's going to be like, what day is it today? 10/18. Hold on. Let me do that real quick. Oop. Give me 1 second. I will have to do. Okay, it should be fine now. Can you? Is it ear raping you now? Is it good? Is it good? The audio sucks. Okay, hold on. I hate when it does this. Hold on. All right. What about now? What about now? Yeah, when I switch it, yeah, it should be good now. Okay, it doesn't look like it's ear raping now. Okay, we're good now. It's not my fault. It is my fault, but whenever we switch to ports like that, that sometimes happens. It's not what happened on 714, but hypothetically, if that did happen on 714, it would be a similar issue to like that. It would just be the fact that you know, I know that I know that's a thing that happens now. So okay. Sorry about that. Anyways, as we were saying, let me go back to sharing the screen again. Okay, as we were saying, I think the most reasoned argument for the free market and for upholding in absolute free market principles is actually the concept that it is a moral principle, right? It is the concept that, well, technically this is an infringement on property rights, right? If you're going in and telling private businesses that they can't just do what they want to control their business, bro, that's not just an infringement on the free market. That's an infringement on natural rights and natural law, this and that. And I get it. Okay, we know Locke. We know the whole Declaration of Independence. Like we know the whole story there. Okay, we know this. The issue I have with that whole argument actually is, and worst attack on the people since 714. Actually, as a matter of fact, was it 821? I believe it was actually 821. We got revenge on the 714 detractors because I made my audio break. People think it was an accident. It was actually on purpose to get revenge on you guys, okay? And specifically the 714 people. And I understand some 714 believers had to deal with the ear rape, but that's just sometimes what happens. I mean, sometimes those are real consequences. But anyways, as I was saying, so I understand this whole talking point was natural rights, natural property rights, all this stuff. But again, this is an issue of holding principles that don't really reflect in real society in absolutes. Yes, I know what's in the Declaration of Independence. I know what people thought of during the Enlightenment. I know what the Austrian economists thought of. But in reality, there is certainly and undeniably a degree of a social contract when it comes to existing as a business owner and a property owner in society. Like there is. And you can't tell me that there's not. I mean, there absolutely are rules that you have to follow, kind of, and any society that comes together and forms XYZ said society is going to have a proposed set of sort of laws, rules, and regulations that people live by. I get it. People, you guys don't like this, but freedom, whatnot. But really, since the beginning of this country, even the founding fathers, who, yes, did read some of these philosophy books, yes, did subscribe to some of these ideas, even the founding fathers, okay, had the understanding that there is still this degree of a social contract, right? There is. There's certainly a social contract. Yes, theoretically, when you open a business, maybe you believe it should be the case that, well, I should just be able to do whatever I want. And so long as it's not directly harming the natural rights of anyone else, I should get to run this business however I want. Ideally, maybe that's what you believe. Maybe ideally that'd be a great thing, sure. But in reality, that's just not how societies not just work now. That is not how societies have ever worked or ever will work. In reality, anytime you are a business who is, doing business in a society, anytime you are interacting with people and doing sales and contracts within a society, inevitably there are going to be rules that are specific to that society. Oftentimes, yes, that are specific to that society that you are going to have to follow. Every society, and again, I get it. You want a society that's only about natural rights, this and that. Again, I'm going to reiterate, that is not how societies have ever existed or will exist. In reality, you are going to get commonly accepted norms, which turn into commonly accepted laws and regulations to running your business in that society. Okay. We got Dow's audio was off again. Yet another gigantic stream L. Okay, to be fair, I kind of knew that was going to happen. That's why I asked you guys if the audio was fine. Okay, like seriously, Sam Madsen, seriously. We can't. We just these people. Okay. And it's so true. Society is a product of individuals in a sense, right? But really, like that is the I think should be the obvious stance on it. And that's all to say, yes, to the extent to which the free market does what we want and is the best solution to what we want, okay, sure, I'm fine with that. Okay, I'm fine with that. Again, I'm not a socialist. I'm not a communist. I'm not a syndicalist. Okay, I don't believe in any of those things. I'm against those things. So sure, generally speaking, I think that market economies are the most efficient and are just the best ways to keep societies running and to do the basic things you need. Sure. When did any of us ever say we were against that? We're not. Okay. What we're against is holding the concept of a market economy in such high esteem to the extent to which it just becomes this idealistic vision of like utopia that really doesn't exist and really, frankly, we don't care for. And again, that's all to say. And when push comes to shove, if it is necessary to infringe on the free market to protect the health of people, to protect the health of society, to protect the well-being of things in general, to actually push and advocate for the ideal society that we want, what is the objection? And the answer is I don't have an objection. And the answer is, again, let me say this in response to this statement right here. If you believe in the free market, you know the best solution is to let the market to be free. Really, to an extent, I don't believe in the free market. I don't. And see, notice how you kind of use the phraseology, I believe in the free market, right? Kind of suggesting that it's sort of something like you follow, right? It's something you kind of hold in esteem, something you idolize. I'm not accusing him like in a literal sense of worshiping the free market, but that's not really, I don't believe, quote unquote, or disbelieve in the free market. I simply view the free market as like a pragmatic tool that is sometimes good and is sometimes bad, right? And anytime you use a tool, you understand that a screwdriver of, let's just say, a certain screw, right? It works for this screw. You're not going to use that screwdrivers for the other screw. That's, again, how I view the concept of the free market. And the reality of the situation is, Matt Gagnon sends Vince ASMR. It's so true. It's so true. Okay. That as a conservative, and let me really say this. To define conservatism, right, we must just understand that conservatism ultimately is about tradition and conserving, right, cultural traditions and cultural norms. That's it. And that's really all conservatism is. It's about the conservation of order, hierarchy, but most important, right, if you want to break down conservatism on its most basic sense, all it is about tradition and traditionalism. That's really all conservatism is. And so that's all to say. Something important probably to point out is that really from the start of, and it's very funny because I will hear this sometime from the mainstream conservative organizations. I have heard this at some, conservative student group meetings of some certain organizations, that it's like the free market and free trade are like American principles. And these are American principles, right? Speaking about post-World War II contemporary economic views as if they are the founding principles of America. The free market is just as dysfunctional as Vince's streams. Sam Matson. Sam, you know what? You're gonna one day. I'm not making a threat. One day you're gonna regret these super chats, Sam. Okay, not in the sense that I'm threatening you, just in the sense that one day I will be vindicated. We will be vindicated, and the planned non-trusters like you, okay, really ultimately going to just be embarrassed. Okay, that's what we'll say. We're going to be embarrassed. But yeah, it's very important, I think, to understand. My roommate just set off the smoke alarm, but I think it's fine. I think it's just cooking. Okay. We're just going to go with it. Okay. So that's all to say. What was I saying? Okay. So that's all to say, right? Traditionally in America, and yes, it is true to an extent that government has gotten larger and its role in the economy over time throughout the years has certainly gotten larger, right? The government has gotten more involved in the economy, this and that. And yeah, they're kind of right in that sense, but it's also important to understand that, yeah, like someone in the chat brought up, free market absolutism was not even something that was really around at the founding of our country, right? Our founding fathers, especially Hamilton, right, and a lot of other founding fathers too, and it was the tradition in American history to actually have, again, restrictions on trade, first of all, but also to an extent, right, And like I said, it wasn't as overarching as it always was. And don't get me wrong, to an extent, I do believe deregulation in a lot of different instances is a good thing, right? I'm not totally pro regulation all over the place. I think there are certain regulations that are needed, certain regulations that are not. It's just that simple. But traditionally in American society, we have not really held this whole concept of free market and free trades and free enterprise in such high esteem as we did. That's not because we were socialists. That's not because we were communists. It was just because that was just not really seen as the big thing, and the big thing that we followed so much. Alarmgate. Okay, well that was not my fault. That was not my fault. You cannot blame me for that. You cannot blame me for that because that was not my fault. Okay. Traditionally, let me also say traditionally, the kind of school of economic thought that has been kind of followed and practiced in America pre-World War II and even like half of post-World War II, I mean, it slowly grew into becoming more and more prominent, was not the Austrian school of economics, the thing that all the libertarians and stuff have based their ideas off of and this and that. And I'm speaking to people who call themselves conservatives because obviously I understand that, that's the stuff that they follow. But if you're someone who considers yourself a conservative, idealistically, you probably be more so following the American school of economics, right? And the kind of traditional American thought of economics, and it's literally referred to commonly as the American school of economics, is not really so much the same as the Austrian school, right? Don't get me wrong. For the most part, it is pro-business, right? It is pro deregulation. Like I said, we're not anti-market. We're not totally anti-market in the sense that it's practical and it works and it's efficient, this and that, but it also does not hold the market in such high absolute esteem to the point where it's like anytime, whether it's trust busting or, obviously they weren't around back then, but the banning of these mandates, right? Never up until really very recently has traditional American society held the free market in such high esteem and such high worship that they always did. Okay. And so that's to say, really, if you're a conservative and you're someone who views yourself like that, I think more importantly than a bunch of ideas that Milton Friedman and William Buckley wrote down, more so than that, what you should really be holding in high esteem is more so, how have Americans traditionally done things? How has society traditionally been run? That's what you would support, and that's what you should be really taking a look at if you're a conservative. And notice, whenever we kind of have these purity tests, these purity battles, right, in conservatism, notice how, I think this is changing a little bit, and this is changing a little bit because I think there's a lot of great figures out there that are kind of pushing the needle on this. But notice every time there's sort of this kind of purity spiraling purity test of like, you're a conservative, you're not a conservative, you're a fake conservative, no, I'm a real conservative, right? Notice how the debates are always, wait a minute, isn't that infringing on the free market? Wait a minute, isn't that big government? Like, you notice how this is what people always say, and inherently this is kind of evident that this is what people are kind of viewing as being important versus what is kind of unimportant, right? As to what it means essentially to be a conservative and sort of viewing those as the principles of conservatism. How often have you actually heard people, like, when we're talking about, and like I said, this is changing, it's getting better, but notice it's always like this. It's always like this. Like, but if you're a conservative, don't you believe in the free market? It's never, if you're a conservative, shouldn't you believe in tradition, right? Like, how often do you see that when conservatives debate each other? It's always in the frame of reference of the free market or small versus big government. It's never in the frame of reference of order. It's never in the frame of reference of tradition, traditional society, traditional values, right? Like, our whole sort of frame of reference of what we kind of view to be conservatism is totally off, is totally skewed. So anyways, I feel like this is something we've talked about a lot, but it is just something I wanted to bring up a little bit, talk about. And like I said, the answer is no. I don't view the free market as this absolute principle. I genuinely don't, and I really have absolutely no reservations about whenever companies or businesses or whatever are doing things that we view to be a societal wrong and a societal evil, but technically is not a Lockean violation of natural rights. I have no reservations about using the government to say, no, you cannot do that. And again, I will reiterate that inherently there is some degree of social contract of operating a business within any society. And like I said, in any society in world history, there have always been like rules, right? There's always been rules like you have to follow this X, Y, and Z rule if you want to run a business in our society. And those rules have never in any society, even like in anarchy societies and even societies like totally without order, still never have those rules exclusively been respect natural rights and that's it. There's always been more, whether it's, regulations on this, regulations on that, regulations on prices, like whatever it is. There have always been these rules. There have always, in any society, sets those rules for themselves. And I am of the opinion that one such rule, we as our society, as the American society, as the American people should be, as the American system should be setting for our society, ideally, is that businesses should not be allowed to mandate this for their customers or their employees. Okay. And that is something that any society really has the right to do. I don't hold the free market in such high esteem. And frankly, you should not either. Because why do you like the free market? Again, because we can talk about the free market is actually a question of morality, right? Because property rights, this and that. But we just went over how, no, really not. That's not really true because there is certainly a social contract when you open a business in society. So then if we're to say it's not a moral issue, then it's just an issue of practicality. We just like the free market because it works. Okay, it works efficiently, this and that. And then if we're only in the realm of thinking of the free market as like a pragmatic tool, not a moral absolute, then the case for banning private companies and private businesses from implementing private mandates becomes very clear. Like it becomes totally crystal clear. That's what has to be done. That's what we should be doing. So, anyways, with that being said, that'll wrap this up. I don't want to spend too long on this because I feel like we've talked about this before. We've had this discussion a lot before, but news cycle was a little bit dead. We did have something that we just had to talk about. And I browsed the internet for so long today, trying to find like interesting things to talk about. Now, don't get me wrong. There's always stuff to talk about, but is it really interesting? Is it something that makes like for a good stream? I was a little bit short. But anyways, that being said, let me go through chat a little bit and then I'll go on to the next topic, which is this whole Taiwan thing. So let us see here. I made a new record. I did not get here an hour late. We love to see it. Okay. And you missed 10:18. Good. Nobody wanted to see that. Okay. Nobody wanted to see that. Brad Wood says Jefferson wasn't a libertarian. He found them cringe. I don't know. I would argue Jefferson actually basically was a liberal. We'll talk about that some other. Maybe we can talk about that at the end of the stream. But he's actually my least favorite founding father, or one of my least at least. So we'll talk about that at the end of the stream. But that really is I think one of the bigger takes that you kind of realize getting deeper into conservatism is actually it is quite backwards. Liberals today look up to Hamilton, conservatives look up to Jefferson. In reality, if we were to truly understand, and the reason being is because of this whole scope of government thing, right? Because conservatism is now defined by small government, we see, oh, well, that's why we like Jefferson, because Jefferson liked the small government the most. And then Hamilton was the biggest government guy, technically. So, then that means the liberals are going to like Hamilton. But really, if you are to define conservatism and liberalism by their absolutes, which really centers less around the role of government, the scope of government, more so around their views of human nature, human progress, right? If conservatism is the conserving of tradition, if liberalism is centered around progress, liberation from human nature, this and that, right? You realize at that point that in reality, if we were to take the real definitions of conservatism and liberalism, in reality, Jefferson was the liberal founding father. He was by far the most socially progressive of the founding fathers. He was the most pro-democracy, right? This and that. Meanwhile, Hamilton was the most pro-aristocracy. He was the most pro-tradition. Jefferson was the biggest supporter of the French Revolution, basically of all the founding fathers. Hamilton hated the French Revolution, right? These are very telling things that people overlook in the modern day because we only think of it as, well, Jefferson liked small government, Hamilton liked big government, therefore Jefferson was the good one. No, not really in reality. Again, in Jefferson, he was also arguably probably the most anti-Christian founding father, basically of all of them. Hamilton was not, both of them were deists, so I'll point that out and I'll concede that. Adams was an actual Christian, so based. But anyways, both Hamilton and Jefferson were deists, but it was also Hamilton who really kind of held Christianity in higher regard, where you have Jefferson, who has famously the Jeffersonian Bible, in which he basically scribbled out parts of the Bible he didn't like and was only like picking and choosing this and that. Really was not the biggest fan of Christianity, was not the biggest fan of tradition, was not the biggest fan of kind of traditional European society. Hamilton was. Jefferson liked the French Revolution for a reason. Hamilton was against that. This is something we should make a video about this at some point, although I don't know if I'm the best person at talking about it. David Carlson is really good at talking about this, but we could talk about this at some point. So Thompson says Adams was not an actual Christian. I believe he was. Unless you're to say he did not believe in a Trinity. Oh, I didn't know that, but that's cringe. But still, at least he followed it, like from a political standpoint, he at least held the practice of Christianity in regard. So that's more what I was talking about. So anyways, going on to the next topic of tonight, what I kind of want to talk about a little bit. This is something I see a lot of people talking about this, and it's honestly kind of getting on my nerves a little bit. And so let's actually just talk about this a little bit. There's a lot of talk over war with Taiwan. No, I always say war with Taiwan. No, war with China over the over Taiwan, right? A lot of talk about, well, China's gonna invade Taiwan, this and that. Let me get into this really quickly and say, this is a fantasy. Okay, this is not actually going to happen, but I'm going to explain why people keep acting like it's going to happen. Okay, so number one, let me start off by saying, like, yeah, it's this realistically speaking, China in no time. And look, if I'm wrong on this, I will take it on the chin. But I honestly believe that this is not something that's happening anytime soon. In the next decade or so, China is not going to like invade Taiwan like D-Day. Let me explain why for a few reasons. Number one, without the US even being a factor, it is still very logistically difficult for the Chinese to invade Taiwan. I get it. People think that, well, China is big, Taiwan small, therefore China gonna roll over. Okay, the Chinese gonna invade Taiwan. Okay. And realistically, the concept of an invasion of Taiwan, first of all, is a total logistical nightmare for the Chinese. They do not have the Navy. Okay, they don't have the Navy to commit as a seaboard invasion to Taiwan like that. They would have to be pulling merchant civilian ships like Dunkirk or something, but except it's not an evacuation, it's an invasion. They'd have to conscript a bunch of merchant civilian ships into service, first of all, to even pull this off. Okay, so that's number one. And secondly, the logistics really just don't work out that well for the Chinese. Taiwan is a lot stronger than you think they are. They have a whole basically system set up to defend the island. Okay, a lot of the Chinese troops, before they even make landfall, or I should say they'll make landfall, but before they even like get anywhere inland, not a huge degree of them would just be wiped out, okay, in a realistic invasion of Taiwan. The Chinese don't really have enough airfields near the Strait of Taiwan to really pull it off. Meanwhile, Taiwan, they have a whole plan set up. They have ways to actually shield their aircraft so that way it can't just be taken out through, airstrike or whatever. They don't really shield. They shield their aircraft for the practice of an invasion, their fighter planes, right, in like mountain bunkers. And the plan they have is to use the highways as runways instead of having conventional airfields. So overall, and the fact that they could just put they will, and this is what they would do, they just put a sea mine wall basically to take out all the ships before they even make landfall. You'll have beaches full of booby traps. Just let me just tell you, and you can kind of research this for yourself. It would not be nearly as easy for China as you think it would. In fact, it is if China really wanted to do it, it's one of those situations of willpower, right? It's kind of like the Winter War, Vietnam War, whatever. Like if China really wanted to commit to it, yes, they could take Taiwan. But it is not something that really, realistically speaking, is something that really makes a lot of sense for China to do, first of all, because they don't need Taiwan, right? It's just kind of like a propaganda tool. It'd be nice to have it, right? But the tremendous human cost, the amount of casualties that China would suffer in an invasion of Taiwan are immense. Okay, they are massive. And like I said, it is actually, people don't really know this, but it is actually what would be a gigantic logistical nightmare for China. Okay, they would not just walk in and take over Taiwan. It's going to be something that like they would lose a lot of people doing, a lot of manpower doing. And it's like, why would they do that? Like, what is the cost of doing that? If anything, the whole propaganda tool would actually work against them because the Chinese people would be pissed. Why are so many people dying in what you said was going to be an easy war? That's number one. Number two, why would China do it anyway when you consider the fact that realistically speaking, you're also risking a war with the United States, which would likely go nuclear as well? You know, like, do people actually think this is something that's going to happen? Do people think that the United States is simply going to like go to war with China and we're just going to have like World War III, but it's not going to be nuclear. It's going to be like a conventional land war. You know, we're going to liberate Taiwan. And then, no, oh, here it is. It's gonna be like the Great War and Fallout, or not the Great War, the Sino-American War and Fallout. You know, the Chinese are gonna invade Alaska, and we're gonna take back Alaska with power armor, and then we're gonna march on Beijing. Like, do people really think this is what's gonna happen? Because let me just tell you, it really isn't. Okay, it's not. Like, realistically speaking, it's not what's gonna happen. The logistics actually are not on China's side with the entire thing. Cat the Hat Worshipper says China's ballistic missiles would ground Taiwan's air force in the first 20 minutes of war. Well, again, the Taiwanese have prepared for that. That's what you're missing about the entire situation. The Taiwanese have prepared for that. That's why they actually shelter their air force in like underground bunkers. Did you know that? Did you know that they have a and also keep this in mind, right? They will have the time to move them all because it would take at least like 2 months to mobilize for an invasion of Taiwan. You're not going to be able to do that in a secret because it's going to take so much manpower. Number one. And then number two, you know, I believe there's only like 2 months out of the year where an invasion of Taiwan is feasible because of the ocean conditions. So really, you know, the Taiwanese, this is something the Taiwanese are prepared for. This is all without American help, first of all. But anyways, to get back to what I was saying, frankly, let me just say, what I really can't stand is the amount of conservative media that it keeps pretending like this is going to happen, pretending like this is a thing. In my opinion, the way I see this and what I kind of view this as is a cope, okay? This is a cope because conservatives and I guess, frankly, Americans in general know that, you know, the whole battle with China is something that we're losing in the grand scheme of things. Increasingly, it feels like China is growing on the world stage while we continue to shrink and diminish on the world stage, right? And the reasons for this have nothing to do with our military, right? Still, our military, at least on paper, logistically, is stronger than China's. We have better equipment. We have more of it. We have a better Navy. We have better all that stuff. But we know that the reason why we're losing is not that. It's the reason we're losing is on the economic front, right? We know that a great deal of our industry and our companies are reliant on China and reliant on other countries. We also know that China's sort of influence on the world is growing from an economic basis. And we know that the battle is an economic one. And it's a battle we're losing. And it's a battle we're kind of being set up to lose. And we know that. I think what's going on, and I think the reason why people are making such a big deal out of this, and like, yeah, I get it. China released a propaganda video. Like, this is what you're saying. China released a propaganda video about their military. All of a sudden, people are like, war with Taiwan imminent. Like, okay, seriously? Yeah, no. Like I said, the reason why I think this is like such a big deal for conservatives is because there is a fantasy, right? It is because we know it's like the war with China, the war, quote unquote, with China. It's just a Cold War of economic influence. Like, that's literally it. That's all there is to it. We have this vision, I guess, as Americans, that we can just magically turn it around, right? And it's going to be like World War II all over again, right? This and that. But that's exactly what I think it is. It's a cope. The whole concept of a military conflict with China that we believe we'd win is simply a cope. All it is a cope. It's a rationalization. And it's kind of a deflection from the fact that actually, right, the war is an economic one. It is all about economic influence. It's all about trade, this and that. We know we're losing it. Okay, we know we're kind of slipping in it. And so we think that there's a way we're just going to turn that around and reverse it and simply going to be by military conflict. And that's basically it. Honestly, that's kind of the way I see it. Because really, do people really think that's going to happen? Because even if China did want Taiwan, would they really be risking, all of the consequences that's going to happen? I mean, if anything, maybe it is the case that they do some type of rigged referendum in Taiwan, something like that. But even so, I don't really think that would go over so well. And I think even so, something like that, because most of the Taiwanese people don't want to join China, right? That would still is something that'd be ending in military conflict. Like realistically, does anyone really think this is going to happen? I don't. Like I said, I think it's basically a conservative fantasy. It's kind of it's a LARP. It's like, whoa, we're gonna take down China. We're gonna, and I hear people say this too. It's like you'll have conservatives and stuff say stuff like, all these wars in the Middle East are stupid, but if we go to war with China, sign me up for the military. Like people have this fantasy, like we think we're just gonna go kind of liberate China, and it's gonna be World War II all over again. It's gonna be great. We're gonna come home to a sailor kissing a nurse, this and that. Like, I get it. I understand that it has been painful to watch the decline of America since the end of the Cold War. I know it's painful to kind of watch America's disintegration. Trust me, I don't like watching it either. But really get your head out of your ass. This is not how it's going to go down. If there is a war with China, it will be a nuclear war, okay? I mean, if anything, it'll eventually end in that, okay? And you know that, and I know that. It's not going to be some grand liberation of Beijing or anything, it's not going to be, that's just not how it's going to go down, okay? So I would say to people who think like that, ultimately, you need to get your priorities straight. I mean, you really do. Someone needs to get their priorities straight here, because you're essentially living in a fantasy, right? You're living in a fantasy that, we're going to take down Taiwan, right? We're going to do this. America. No, I mean, we're going to take down China. Sorry, not take down Taiwan. America, let's go. Number one, the enemy of your country is not the Chinese Communist Party, okay? It's not. It's the American regime. That's actually the kind of the issue we should be viewing as really the enemy and the great rival of our time as the American people. It's not the Chinese government, it's our government. Conservatives don't want to see things like this because I guess it's kind of painful, right? It's kind of painful to have to say we like to be proud of our country. We like to be patriotic. We like to get out here and say, well, America's the best country on earth, isn't that? And those damn Chinese commie reds, we're going to take them out. We're going to take them down. I get it. But this motivation, I do get it, but it's still at the same time, it's like, I've heard, I don't know how many people I've heard get up there and say, I can't wait for this war with China. I mean, they're like, I don't know if war with China's going to happen, but if it does, I can't wait to fight that war. You know what I mean? It's like, why? Why are you so ghoulishly excited to fight this foreign government, which is not good? I'm not pro-China. I don't like China. But really, and listen, China in many ways is, they are an enemy of ours, right? They are a threat to us on the world stage, this and that. They in no way have America's interest in mind. They're no way helping you. But I don't view them as like the great enemy that I'm like fantasizing about being able to defeat. I want to defeat them. But for me, if I'm going to, because I don't view this as a battle between two countries necessarily. I view this as like us versus the regime, us versus the ruling apparatus in power. And I view those people as my enemy, as like my true enemy. China's in the way. They're a problem. They're just a problem in general. But if I had to pick and choose, to replace Xi Jinping or replace the American regime, I take the American regime any day, because it's also the case that a competent U.S. government could probably suffocate China from within without conflict, right? Not suffocate necessarily, but, at least diminish their influence, diminish their power. But conservatives are not serious. And I don't think conservatives are viewing things seriously at all. So, Gen Z Patriot. Oh, we just sweetly love this take. Holy shit, Vince going back to his old days being a little commie. Literally not the case. Literally not the case, okay? What I'm saying is that if you're truly the anti-communist that you claim that you are, yeah, the bigger threat is not going to be status in China. The bigger threat you should be viewing as the threat and the enemy are the cultural Marxists who run all of our institutions. Okay. And to be frank, those are a far greater threat to your freedom than China ever is. But yeah, we know we're gonna be getting takes like this all the time. Oh, but you pro China or something? No. First of all, I actually believe in an economic policy that is anti-China. I simply just don't get ghoulishly excited about fighting a war for one terrible regime against another terrible regime. Because that's the other thing people miss. Who would be the people leading us in the battle, against China? Would we be fighting for some based Christian kingdom? No, we would not. You'd be fighting for the military-industrial complex, for the major corporations, the major economic interests, and you'd be fighting for the U.S. government. None of those things, by the way, not to say any of the existence of any of those things are bad, but none of those things in modern American society that are on your side. But you're pro-China because you're not ghoulishly excited about getting drafted to go fight a war for the American regime, which, by the way, like I said, is a LARP, because that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? It's not. You're going to have a conventional. If there was no conventional war between two powers during the Cold War, what do you think? What makes you think that's going to magically happen now? Nuclear weapons are a thing. Even if it starts out in a conventional way, if it escalates to any significant degree, yeah, what do you think is going to happen? So it's not about being pro-China, just anti-globalist empire. It's so true. It's so true. Matt says Lalo thirsty for a debate some other night. I'm not in the mood right now, because it's inevitably gonna drag on for like several hours, and I don't have the time tonight. We actually gonna have to end the stream a little bit earlier tonight, but all right, let's see. Gen Z Patriot says, I'm not excited, but you're failing to see some wars are necessary. Case in point, like literally, this is exactly what I was talking about. It's a LARP by conservatives. Oh, the America, we're gonna, you know what? Yeah, we're losing on the economic front, but there's gonna be a big war, and it's gonna be World War III, and we're gonna fight them, and we're gonna take. You are LARPing. You're living in a fantasy land. This is not what's going to happen. Again, all that type of war that you think is gonna happen is not gonna end like World War II. It would end in nuclear annihilation. Okay, do you realize this, buddy? Do you understand? And by the way, China knows that too. Okay. But you guys are just LARPing. You guys are LARPing so hard because you have this fantasy like, oh, well, we're going to have this military war against China. How? How would both navies even ferry their people across the seas to like invade the other country? Are you like thinking logically like at all? At all? And why? Why is it so worth fighting that war? Why? Because China is a bad regime run by evil people? Yeah. We know that. Are you pro Iraq? Are you pro toppling every regime you don't like in the world? Maybe you are. I don't know. But if it's not, and if it's a question of, well, it's because China's a threat to us, this and that, yeah, but you don't really understand the threat. You don't understand the way that the war is going to be waged. Like I said, it's an economic thing. It's a matter of economic influence. You don't like China, we have to reform our economic policy to favor ourselves and not favor them. That's how you beat China, You don't beat China through a conventional war. This isn't 1930, okay? But I love the virtue signaling. Some wars are worth fighting. Yeah, I'm gonna go fight a war for the American regime to take out just another government that's not even that different from the American regime at this point. Okay. Christian Lee says, while China is undoubtedly our enemy, they're effective with what they do. While America is, to an extent, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of the belief that the people running the United States and the American system and the American regime They're not the most competent, but also to an extent, I think their goal in mind is actually basically destruction. But also bullying women is my specialty, and last night proved it. To be honest, didgeridoo nationalism won. I don't know what happened last night. What happened last night? Was there like an Instagram live or something? Was I there last? No, I was on a plane last night, so I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, but hopefully one day. Mark says nobody actually believes that this is going to be World War II all over again. All the people I know are far more concerned about what's going on in our country. Well, I agree. I agree with that statement. I'm of the opinion, but the guy I'm referring to is this LARPer. He's this LARPer about like, this war is necessary. This is noble. Okay. You want a noble war? Oh, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. Okay. Should I say that? I don't know if I should say. I don't know if I should say it. You know what? Okay, I'll say it like this. You want a noble war? To me, a far more noble war, and I'm not endorsing this. I don't think this is necessary. I don't think we need to do this. But if you were to compare apples to oranges, a far more noble war for me would be reclaiming what I will say is just historically Christian lands for Christian people. That actually is a more noble war to me than fighting, godless America versus godless China. Okay, yeah. You know what? I heard in China. Did you hear about this? In China, they banned LGBT people from video games. Did you hear? This is true, by the way. They banned LGBT people from video games, and they said people on the TV, they can't be portraying feminine men anymore. Damn. You know what? Those people in China, they're so oppressed. We need to go invade China and bring LGBT and effeminate men to them too. God bless America. Yeah, that's what you sound like. And I'm not, it is a mockery, sure. But to be frank, like when you say modern America needs to take over modern China, which again is a LARP, it's like the most unrealistic statement ever. It just doesn't make sense. Like a direct military conflict with China is just going to end in nukes. Like we know that. But even so, even if you were living in the ideal fantasy land, is that what we need? Not a reclamation peacefully of American society into, what American society should be. No. Actually, we need to export modern American society into other countries. That's the noble thing to do. We're the freedom beacon of the world there, really, truly. Okay. Yeah, I'm literally not defending China. You're actually the one basically shilling for the American regime. That's what you're doing. Okay, that's what you're doing. Noah Boyd says we are fighting peacefully. Disclaimer. Peacefully but true. We are fighting to reclaim this Christian land for ourselves. True. My camera's chopping up. Yeah, I know. Hold on. Just give me a second. It should fix itself. It's an internet thing. Should I just hold on? I'm gonna try to refresh it. All right, I'll be right back. Hopefully this fixes. All right, it should be better now. Is it better now? Hopefully it's better now. So can we retake Constantinople? I'm not gonna endorse that on stream, but just for content guidelines purposes. But I will say that "You'll Come as a Lightning" is a great song. That's what I will say. Is it better now? Why is it back to having low reception again? Okay, this sucks. What is this doing? Hold on. I don't know why it's doing that. Should be good. I don't know. Let me know if you can. Let me know if you can hear it. Brad Wood says Constantinople is only 10% Christian today. Not worth it. I know it is. Okay. But if I were to LARP, I'm not saying I'm LARPing, but if I were to LARP, I far more prefer to LARP for that than to spread LGBT and feminism to China. I mean, really, I do. Really, I do. So, Carter Shaw says, thoughts on the LLQ, the Lincoln Logs question. The Lincoln Logs question. I'm fine with Lincoln Logs. Okay? We're cool with Lincoln Logs. You know what? After seeing what Lego did, I'm pro Lincoln Logs. I won't just say I'm fine with Lincoln Logs. I'm pro Lincoln Logs after seeing what freaking Lego did. You guys see this? They made a rainbow themed Lego thing, and I saw that. As a matter of fact, I think Carter shared that as propaganda, but that was very convincing to me. I saw that and I was like, shoot. Many such cases. All right. You guys, it's saying I have poor connection, but you guys are not saying that there's a problem, so I think it's fine. I don't know. But anyways, let's see. Gen Z Patriot. I like how Vince is LARPing every one of his fans Gen Z exposed. I don't even know what that means. But I do know. I know you think you're so based because I'm so based because I you know what? We need to spread American democracy to China. You're not cool. You're really not cool. You're not cool. Your entire, first of all, what you believe is not even realistic. Second of all, it's not necessary. Third of all, it's not even really moral. It's really not. We're so moral. We're gonna bring democracy and feminism and LGBT and pornography and the sexual revolution, all the great things that make America so free. Yeah, we're gonna liberate China. We're gonna wave the flag in Beijing. We're gonna plant the flag we're gonna pull up to the Yangtze River. We're gonna plant the flag like Iwo Jima. Okay, yeah. Again, you're LARPing, and you're not even LARPing for something that's cool. I mean, frankly, you're not. Shilling for the American regime is not cool. Shilling for modern American society is not cool. Okay, and you know what? Retake American society first, make American society noble and virtuous first, and then maybe we can talk about other societies. But until then, I really don't want to hear it about how it is like so necessary and so pressing that it's just so necessary. Okay. Noah says, you still haven't answered my question on, it's not Telegraph, it's Telegram, about what our plan is to prevent that from happening again. Well, yeah, I didn't say I directly answer it. I say we talk about those issues in the Telegram channel periodically, which we do. I don't know if there's a directly easy solution, but more reform, more eyes, all that stuff, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Because we definitely will need a few more cycles, right, to kind of figure out how reoccurring this ends up being. That's what I'll say. Okay. Let's see here. We need to take back our major cities before anything else. I agree with this. We just need to take back everything before anything else. But that's really what I can't stand. I can't stand all the anti-China LARPing. I'm not pro-China. I'm not. I don't like China. I have huge moral qualms with China. I love the accusation that me as a Christian would in any way like a government that is openly atheist, that has state atheism, and that persecutes Christians. Like, really? You think that's a government I like? No. But the LARPing, like, we're gonna take over China. I want to go fight China. Yeah, you're LARPing, and you're shilling for a government that like that's who you're fighting for. You're fighting for a regime that is not noble, that is not virtuous, that is not free, does not make their people free, does not allow their people to be free. So Ryan says, I got baptized yesterday. Congratulations. We love to see it. Can we get a congratulations, everyone, to Ryan? We love to see it. We love to hear it. Vince, your video is grainy. Is it? This is the question I was asking because the connection is poor right now. I don't know why. I don't know why it's doing that. Hold on. Lalo says we're trying to make Phoenix a little bit redder. I mean, not Lalo. We're trying to make Phoenix a little bit redder. Lalo is our only hope. Yeah, good. Okay, good luck. Good luck with that, Lalo. Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna be the guy to do it. Okay. Thoughts on Civil War LARPing by leftists? I have not seen a lot of Civil War LARPing by leftists. It's usually something that rightists do. I've really not seen them doing that. I don't know. That's weird. I would have now. Like I said, I don't really know what you're talking about, so I can't really give my true thoughts on it. What I would say is that I think it's probably a little bit different than the Civil War LARPing you see from conservatives and from the right. Because I would assume mostly what you see from the right is more along the lines of like, we're gonna, by the way, disavow, not endorsing, okay, not Fed posting, but usually what you would see from people on the right who would say such things, okay, would be kind of like, we're going to take over the system, we're going to overthrow things. I think more so, I would assume more so what you would hear from the left on that issue would be more so like, no, we're just simply going to use the regime, use the power we have, that they do have, to basically crack down on conservatives and basically annihilate conservatism and conservative people in America. By the way, disavow, let me just say for YouTube purposes, disavow all that. But I would assume that's probably what they would be doing. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. But really, I don't think the relationship necessarily would be the same there. So I have no idea. American Populist Crusade says, I'm tired of all the smooth brains on the right saying we need a national divorce. Yeah, we do, but the problem is it's not going to happen, at least not anytime soon. I don't know. That would be the most peaceful way for America to just avoid living in hell, is if we all balkanized, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You can call for it all you want. Who knows what's going to happen like 50 years from now, but anytime soon, it's really not happening. And there's probably a lot of realistic issues that would go along with it too. I don't know. I wouldn't mind it. Yeah. Would the left get all the good places? Yeah. Would our economy suck because they have all the major cities and whatnot? I don't freaking care. Okay. I will join the farm right. I don't care. I will join the farm right. We will have slower internet. We will have less consumer goods, all these things. I don't care. I'm tired of this regime. Stop feeding consumerism down my throat and then telling me, well, but if we had a national divorce, but then you would have a worse economy than the liberals. I don't freaking care. But with that being said, it's not going to happen. So who cares? I mean, really, it's not a realistic thing. Watch the Don't Embrace the NAP. Watch Don't Embrace the NAP. It's a short meme song that's the funniest, most brutal take of libertarian philosophy. Brutal takedown of libertarian philosophy. Interesting. We might have to take a look at that later. I'll check it out. Thoughts on global citizenship? Cringe. I don't know what else. I don't know what else there is to say about it. I mean, we have to make an argument against global citizenship. And what would it mean for global citizenship? Because citizenship typically means in democratic countries, that you're allowed to vote. And then in non-democratic countries still that you're basically allowed to travel freely. So global citizenship would just basically mean a one world government. And with the one world government, meaning you can travel and live wherever you want, so it would be open borders. You're letting the entire globe vote on politics. Yeah, I mean, I think the case is pretty clear. I mean, I think you can basically explain why it's evil and why we support nation states, countries, and nationalism, and keeping the nations apart, because different societies have different values, different people, different heritage, different culture, different religion, different everything, that have to be governed in different ways. I mean, it's pretty common sense. I don't know if I have to know if I have to elaborate on that. Your video and audio is not coordinated. Yeah, I know. I don't know what's wrong with the Wi-Fi right now. Okay, here. Is it better if we do this? Is it better? Is that fine? Do you like this more? Because I don't know what the issue is with the Wi-Fi right now, and I don't really want to take the time to go check. Sam Matson says the basement caucus response to you saying weed shouldn't be legal was hilarious. I know it was, and I knew exactly that's what's gonna happen. I literally just said it like out of Now that is something I actually believe. I was not just saying it to like be provocative. I do believe that. That's my honest take on weed. But I purposely just tweeted it out because I knew that was just gonna make them angry. I knew it was. You know. I will say the biggest reason I am anti-weed, and yeah, it has bad effects. It makes people lazy. No, really, let me be honest. The biggest reason I'm anti-weed is two reasons. Number one, stoners are annoying and cringe and just suck. Okay, that's number one. Number two, more importantly, weed. What does weed symbolize in our culture? Well, where did weed come from? We know where weed came from. Weed came from the 1960s. Weed came from the entire Woodstock liberal movement that we know in the long term has led to the destruction of our country. Okay. We know what those people did. We know where those people took power. We know the whole story there. And honestly, for that reason alone, that is why I am like, honestly, have become, and the second I realized that, the second I really became principally anti weed, because it's like, okay, on one hand, wine was in the Bible. Jesus turned water into wine, right? Alcohol has been around for thousands of years. Weed arose out of very specific circumstances. And these specific circumstances where this whole drug came along, which I don't think you can separate from what the drug does to society. Not at all, because I think there's a reason why Woodstock, there's a reason why all those hippies marching for free speech were such fans of weed. Well, again, the reason why, if the understanding that those are the social circumstances where it grew out of, understanding that weed is probably one of the biggest symbols of liberalism in modern society, I think really the case to hate weed as a conservative should become pretty clear. And honestly, if you want to really kind of reclaim society, take back society, I think it really has to start with an understanding that, the things that cause society to degrade in the first place, you need to get rid of them. The sexual revolution, get rid of that. Marijuana, get rid of that. All of the things that the people in the 60s tried to push on us, frankly, I think we know what we need to be doing to them. Okay? Jennifer says, "Oh my God, you're anti-weed. I didn't think it was possible for me to like you too." Let's go. So true. So true. So true. And a rare instance of a female viewer. So what's up? But so true. We love to see it. We love to see it. Based female check, based woman check. Let's go. Let's go. Let me see. All right. You know what? Let me see. I don't know why our regular Wi-Fi is doing this, but I will. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna try to stream on the apartment Wi-Fi and see if it's better. So wait. Before I do that, I need to switch out the camera anyway. But let me read a chat while we figure this out. Weed makes you lazy? Absolutely. I mean, it absolutely does. Why do you think? I think there's a reason why liberals like it so much. I think there's a reason why, the people in the 60s tried to push it so much on society. You know what I mean? Absolutely. We know stoners. Everyone here knows a stoner. I guarantee you do. And we know that weed, they claim it makes them focused, more creative. Yeah, okay. Okay, libtard. Okay, stoner. Okay, addict. Okay, pothead. Yeah, we know what it does to people. Okay, we do. And that's obviously being an alcoholic is bad too, But I will say the ratio of people who just drink alcohol sometimes but don't make it change their life or ruin their life versus the amount of people who smoke weed versus make weed their identity and smoke it all the time. Definitely a different ratio, right? Definitely a different kind of ratio there and how that whole thing goes. So, all right, hold on. Let us attempt to fix this connection here. Let me see. Let's see if this works. Let's see if this makes it better. Is our camera back yet? What is this doing? Well, that's not cool. All right, hold on. All right, let's see. Let's see. We're gonna try to troubleshoot on stream so we can stop having grainy connection here. What are you doing? All right, now my webcam isn't even working. That's not fun. All right, whatever. We'll just use this then. Okay. Singapore. I can't read that on stream, but epic. Having kids naturally makes people more conservative. So true. So true. That's why they don't want you to have kids. Obviously. I mean, it's very basic to your take, but it's definitely true. It's definitely true. We should tax condoms to the point where we're more expensive than simply having a child. Not a bad take. The real problem is birth control, though. That is this probably should be step 1 is abortion, step 2 birth control, step 3 we can talk about condoms. Let's see. Most of America is rural. Why don't we do de-urbanization, not full de-urbanization, but enough to make cities more conservative and based? Well, I agree with that. We've talked about this before. I've actually talked about that. We talked about it on the last stream actually for the whole walkable cities movement, right? Because we have these people that they're like, oh, I'm such a Chad, right? I support walkable cities. Why do Americans have to drive so many cars, right? We should have walkable cities just like Europe. And I was like, dude, do you understand that to build a walkable city where you don't need cars, it means you're gonna have to bunch and people, and these are conservatives saying this. I understand why liberals are for this. I know why every liberal outlet is critical of cars and is saying, why doesn't America do this like Europe? I know why. They want to drive more liberalism. That's why they say it's about climate change or what. Like, yeah, they want walkable cities because they want people to live on top of each other, and consequently, when people live very close together, when cities are more dense, they're going to be more liberal. But you have some conservatives who think they're based and think they're cool for adopting this themselves. No, it's the opposite. If anything, if you want to make America more conservative and more traditional, you should be spreading it out as much as possible, right? You have to be spreading it out as much as possible, not packing it in as tightly as you want to, you know? So I'm not against biking. I'm not saying I'm not against riding a bike, but what I'm saying is building your urban planning on the basis that people should not be driving cars and trying to get people to get rid of their cars. That's the problem. I mean, that really is the problem. That's a very very cringe take. You know what I mean? You should not be trying to push people as tightly together as possible if you want to build a conservative. Let's see if it works now. Okay. You should not be trying to push people as tightly as possible if you want to build a conservative society. You should be trying to spread people as much out as possible. And it's so funny. You have these people, they're like, they're so based. I'm a civilization builder, right? This and that. And it's like, no, dude, you're literally agreeing with the globalists. They want to get rid of suburbs. You want to get rid of suburbs. They want to get rid of cars. You want to get rid of cars. They want to pack people as tightly together as possible. You want to pack people as tightly together as possible. But I'm based. I'm a walkable cities Chad and a weightlifter. No, you're not. You're just dumb, okay? You're just dumb. Such a dumb take. Okay, Lalo with the take I agree with. I fully agree with that. We need to dislodge urban liberal institutions with distance, not make easier to walk, not make things easier to walk to these places. Yeah, true. 100%. Phoenix is awesome and not walkable at all. I do like Phoenix. And yeah, you can't, it's not a walkable city. You have to drive. And it's no coincidence also that as a lot of these cities are growing larger and growing more densely populated, that's why they're turning more liberal. And that's why the states consequently are turning more liberal. You know what I mean? So it's true. TV N64 says, Vince, when will you make the Putin video? See, this I'm unsure of. Because on one hand, I could wait until Putin makes the news and that would be a good time to drop it. And also there's something I want to do specifically for the Putin video, which I don't normally do in my videos, but which is basically a sketch. Okay. And I would need people to film that with. And so the Putin video may be a little bit more elaborate, a little bit more intricate. And so you may have to wait a little bit for that, but it will come at some point. I promise it will come at some point. And it will be a great video. Ryan says, do you have any liberal family members? Yeah, of course. I think everyone has. Doesn't everyone have liberal family members? Well, I certainly do have liberal family members. What's funny is many of my liberal family members, not because of me, by the way, just because of the world, are turning more conservative. Yeah, I don't know. I usually just don't even try to get into it with them at Thanksgiving or whatever. So, well, actually, I haven't seen most of those family members since the start of COVID. I think many of us would agree with this, right? Probably the same case with you guys. Have you guys really seen a lot of your liberal family, like uncles and cousins and stuff, since COVID? No, you haven't, because it's Christmas. We don't get together anymore. Thanksgiving, they're the most scared too. They won't allow us, especially the unvaxxed family members. Most of the unvaxxed family members are not even allowed at the gatherings anymore in many families. I'm sure it's probably the case in your family too. So Sam Matson says regulating hookup sites is just as important as regulating porn sites. So true. So true. They're so cringe too. So let me tell you, and let me explain why I know this. Okay, I was thinking of doing a video. I know this video has been done before, but I feel like it'd be funny to do a conservative goes on Tinder video, right? So I was considering doing it. I don't know if I'm gonna do that yet. I don't know if you guys would like me to do that, not do that. But I was looking at Tinder on the App Store, right? Because I was considering, like, should I do this? But then I see all these other new dating apps that I didn't even know existed. I only know that Tinder exists because I've heard of that. I haven't heard of all these other ones. There's this other one with, like, Bubbly. I don't even know. Is that how you say it? Bumbly, something like Bumble, something like that. I don't know. But now there's, like, straight up hookup apps. Like before, I know, like, before they were kind of advertised as dating apps. Now you have apps that are just straight up being advertised as hookup apps. I saw that. I was so blackpilled when I saw that. I was like, what the hell? So you definitely need to get rid of this stuff, man. It's ridiculous. Christopher, let's go. We haven't seen Christopher in a while, but shout out Christopher. All right, shout out Christopher. Says just popping in real quick. Hashtag VinceDao Nationalism. Thank you very much. Let's go. We love Christopher. God bless you. We love Christopher Graves, the absolute legend. We love to see him. It is so true. VinceDao Nationalism. It's not Taoism, though. It is VinceDao Nationalism. Say it right. Taoism is a weird Chinese hippie philosophy, okay? VinceDao Nationalism. That is what it is. That is what it is. So, dating is rough nowadays. It's true. Please don't say what the hell. Okay, I'm sorry. It comes out. It comes out. Okay, I say it sometimes. It comes out. I'm sorry. All right. TVN64 says, "What is your watch?" It is a Guess watch. It's not a Rolex. One day we'll have a Rolex. All right. In fact, maybe I could just go full Italian. The 25% Italian in me. I'll just buy a black Cadillac. Rolex. Where's my sunglasses? Oop. Where are my sunglasses? Oh, here they are. I'll just drive around like this. Watch out the window. I one of my Italian uncles used to do that. His name was Vinny too. That's what's very funny. His name was Vinny. Okay, I think I talked about this once on a stream like a long time ago, but he wasn't an uncle actually. He's a great uncle. But yeah, he used to drive around black Cadillac, Rolex out the window like that. We suspected he was in the mafia. We weren't sure because he had a lot of money, but not like his money ratio comparative to like what he didn't really make a lot of sense. We weren't sure. We never got confirmation, but we were a little bit like, not sure about that. But it's a rare VinceDao history lesson. Mafia Vince. Hey. Step one of being in the mafia is rule one of being in the mafia is denying that you're in the mafia. So, if I was in the mafia, do you think I'd ever say it? No, of course not. Of course not. Which ethnicity is the hairline from? Wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. Just for that, I'm going to wear a hat from now on. No, just kidding. Godfather Part 4. It's true. I will be the subject of Godfather Part 4. Me. Totally Asian looking, but a quarter Italian. And with this going on, okay? It is true. We will be the topic of Godfather Part 4. They're not ready for it. Where's my Bowsy, Vince? I don't think that comes from my culture, so you're wrong. Okay? I can make you pho. Every day we're moving closer to Amishism. Kind of wish. It's very funny. Now, this is not me saying I would become an Amish. I don't think I could do it. But the Amish, The Amish actually, I think, have a better point than most people give them credit for. And by the way, their theology is wrong. Like, because I think they have some whole like rationalization of like, that like a religious. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, yeah, that's not true. But with that being said, right, the way they like to live and the way they choose to live, it makes more sense now than I think it used to us. When we understand industrial society, we realize how bad it's getting, especially post-industrial society. We realize how much it's fried our brains and made us how our fried dopamine receptors are basically unable to like live fulfilling lives. You realize the Amish have a point. They have something going on. You know what I mean? Thoughts on paleo-libertarianism, basically, if Ron Paul and Pat Buchanan had a child. I would prefer not to have Ron Paul in there at all, but to be fair, Ron Paul is not. He's like the best libertarian probably out there. If that's what I was given, yeah, I would take it. I mean, I prefer just pure paleo conservatism. There is, by the way, some overlap between Buchanan and Paul. There was, but I would take it. I'd happily take it over the Tea Party or the establishment GOP or most of what's going on. I would take it. But it is true. Pat Buchanan is good as is. We don't really need new. TV N64. This is wow. What a bad take. He says digital watch greater than analog watch. That is such a bad take. That is dude, we were just talking about industrial society. Have you learned nothing? Return to tradition. Return to tradition. Oh, I have an Apple Watch. It can track my steps. Yeah? Get blinded by the glare. That's the deal here. Okay, that's the deal here. Get blinded by the glare of my analog watch. No. With tradition, I'm sorry, I will never get a digital watch. I have been offered an Apple Watch so many times for Christmas. Every time I said no. I'm rocking with this. I don't care how much it can track my steps or track my heart rate or track my sleeping. I don't care. Okay. The aesthetic alone, no, we're trad. Okay, we go with the trad normal watches. All right, it's true. Yeah, Vince is right. Yeah, exactly. If anything, I'd argue to an extent, digital watches kind of represent not a bad symbol of the cringe of industrial society. To be totally honest. You need a true piece of horology to pass down to your kids, not some cheap consumerist Apple Watch. Base watch equals automatic movement. So true. Sam Mattis. The Godfather Part 4. Tales of Glitches and Spitgate. Very funny. Very funny, Sam. Very funny. Embrace watch, reject Apple. So true. Ron Paul could have won 2008 if the media didn't smash him. I don't know. Honestly, I'll go back and look at Ron Paul. A part of his problem was he's not really the most articulate guy. Rand, if anything, Rand is not a agent of charisma either, but I don't know. I don't know if Ron actually would have had the kind of charisma and the electability and really the appealing ideas that it would take to actually win. Buchanan was a lot better spoken than Paul was. I think Buchanan also had a lot more ideas that kind of regular people would resonate with. So I don't know if that's the case. Ron Paul called Trump's wall racist in 2016. Yeah. I mean, I'm not anti-Ron Paul. I don't hate the guy. I do think he's a little bit overrated as being the noble libertarian. Like, yeah, he is a noble libertarian, but that's kind of all he is. I don't really like him that much. Ron had some high energy stuff, but not Trump level. Yeah, but he also wasn't really the best speaker. At least from my perspective, I go back and look at him. He wasn't the best speaker. He didn't seem the most charismatic. He was loud. Don't get me wrong, but he didn't seem like the most appealing speaker, really. So I don't know. We'll see. I say we'll see, like it's gonna happen later on. Apple Watch is definitely cringe, but I see no problem with digital watches. Well, if you're talking about like the old digital watches from the 2000s, yeah, I guess there's no problem with them. But it's also like, you know, you kind of get those because you can't afford an analog watch, which I don't hate. I'm not like hating on poor people or something like that. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it misconstrued. But it's just like, you know, these look cooler. These are cooler, you know. And I think people in the 2000s just had them because to tell the time. That's it. Do you think a watch scanning your heart rate at all times doesn't give you cancer? I mean, who knows? I don't know. I wouldn't rule it out, but I honestly don't know. And I don't want to get accused of medical misinformation. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there's studies into that. I don't know if they looked into that, but Vince Dow hates poor people. So not true. So not true. Okay. Anyways, guys, what I want to talk about real quick. All right, real quick. Actually, probably two things. Should we talk about the Twitter drama this weekend? I don't know if we have enough of the people in chat from Twitter, but we could talk about that. And the other thing, talk about Louisiana a little bit. So as you guys know, we'll start by talking about that. As you guys know, this weekend, had a very fun trip. Okay, shout out to the boys, Cameron and Rami. Funny story. I met them at APS. Okay, at the APU event, and they told me they go to LSU, and it all just kind of happened. And I ended up actually hanging out with them, hanging out with the boys. It was a very interesting cultural experience, to say the least. I will say that because I live in Florida. I live in like Central Florida, right? So there is some degree of like country culture, like it exists, right? But it's not super prevalent. This was different. Okay, this was different. This was I remember Friday night, like riding around in a big pickup truck. Okay, riding around a big pickup truck with playing country music through rural Louisiana. Okay, that was a cultural experience to say the least. Okay, that was a cultural experience to say the least. If I had stayed there longer, I might have came back with cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. I don't know. Okay, with Wrangler boots all the time and Wrangler jeans. It's a cultural experience. I will say that whole time, it kind of made me a little bit country music pilled. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I never hated it. I was never anti-country music. The reason I was somewhat not pro-country music was the fact that TikTok ruined country music, okay? Conservative, MAGA Republican TikTok absolutely ruined it, okay? The absolute cringe and the absolute overuse of courtesy of the red, white, and blue, Mr. Red, White, and Blue, different round here, all those like generic country songs about conservatism and patriotism, whatever. Those things drive me insane. I can't stand watching cringe, especially cringe women on TikTok using those in just cringe ways. But I will say, driving around at night, in the middle of nowhere in Louisiana with the boys, okay, with these based Chad freaking Louisiana fraternity boys, okay, listening to country music, that was in a big truck, that was different. That hit different. And I was like, you know what? Now I see the appeal of this. Now this is cool to me again. I actually used to like it a little bit. I was getting into it. The TikTok girls ruined it. I never wanted to hear country music again. And then, the whole experience, it turned it back in my favor. Now I like it again, We're at LSU, so Colin Baton Rouge, that song is stuck in my head. I've known Dixieland Delight for a long time now, but that song became stuck in my head too, We're a little bit country music filled. I'm not gonna lie. It's not bad. All right, it's not bad. Upchurch too. Oh, well, I've known Upchurch. Yeah, I like Upchurch. I never hardly use TikTok, but Vince, that MAGA country songs sound based. I don't hate them as songs. Now, I think Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue is cringe, sort of. I don't hate the song. I'll sing along if it's playing and I'm in the mood. But it's kind of based off of a lie, to be honest. It's kind of a dumb song. Like, it's not dumb intended, but it's really not true, right? It's kind of that kind of Fox raw patriotism. against like all the terrorists, whatever, that I don't like. I think the message of the song is a little bit kind of cringe. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, I mean, it's okay, but it's used out of context very often. The song's supposed to be about a veteran or a soldier, not an American flag waving in the middle of, oh, look, there's a Trump flag, Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Like, you know, you're different around here. Now that song would be okay. Like I said, the cringe TikToks have ruined it for me. They've ruined it for me. But other country music I'm fine with, okay? Alabama, the band Alabama. I've actually been a fan of that band for like years. Okay, I have. I haven't listened to them in a while. That brought me back into it. Dixieland. We love Dixieland Delight. We love Down Home. We love Song of the South. We've listened, by the way, which I will argue, maybe a hot take, that Song of the South is actually a based song. I know that people will say it's actually a cringe song. I actually, maybe sometime we can do a dissertation on why Song of the South is actually a bass song with the message is actually kind of positive, not like liberal, quote unquote. But we can talk about it some other time. I've actually liked that music for a long time. What I don't like is not even like contemporary country necessarily. Like I said, I don't like the cringe content that people make on TikTok. Okay, with the I'm waving a flag, I stand for the flag, and we do things a little different around here. And have a lot of those girls are from California too. I won't name them, but many of them are from California too. Okay, like Orange County, and I'm like, you're from Newport Beach. You're not country. Or you're from Miami. You're not country, okay? I don't like that. But with the boys in a truck in Louisiana, that was pretty good. All right. I was vibing with that. I was enjoying that. Noah says the only non-Christian song I like is Country Roads, West Virginia Nationalism. Yeah, we love Country Roads. We love Country Roads. Lil Nas ruined country music. Well, I mean, to be fair, I don't like him. To be fair, I don't think really I don't know if he really ruined it. Maybe he just ruined the popular perception of it. I don't think country music fans ever really saw that as like real country. So, you should invite Adam Calhoun. He has some raw hot takes and ain't afraid to trash other woke artists. I've never listened to his music. I know who he is. I've never listened to his music. I might have to give it a listen sometime. Jamaican Pickle says, Vince, thoughts on having a receding hairline at 18? Okay, to be fair, I've always had just a big forehead because you can look at pictures of me from like 9th grade. It's not really receded, okay? It's really just kind of always been like that, to be fair. I must advise for new country music to listen to Tyler Childers. I actually don't know who that is. I'll have to check it out. For old Johnny Cash, of course I know Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash, Charlie Daniels, Alabama. I used to actually listen to that, unironically. 10th grade, 11th grade. Like I said, in 12th grade, I was really soured against country music because cringe people on TikTok ruined it for me. But now it's fallen back in favor with me. It is fallen back in favor with me. The other thing I will say about Louisiana, this is a take I want to give really quick. So when you go drive, and if you've ever been there, I'm sure you know, I mean, Baton Rouge near LSU, yeah, not the most prosperous place, right? But also you drive through rural Louisiana, stuff like that. Because I remember we went to this, it was like this carnival festival thing, right? Which was Cameron's idea, and which was not a good idea to go there. Okay, it just wasn't. Because you go there, it was not like let me just say the people there. And by the way, I don't use the whole like, it's not as economically good as like California thing against Louisiana. Like, I'm one of the first people to say economic growth doesn't tell how healthy people are in a society are. But we go to this music festival. It's in Crowley, Louisiana. Okay. It wasn't a music festival. This is one of those like outdoor carnivals, where they have like a nighttime carnival where they have like rides and food and stuff. Yeah, the demographic of people at this carnival, not they weren't like cool cowboy people, you know. They're just like, you're talking about like tatted up, bunch of meth heads, stuff like that, right? And so that's all. And that's just to say, a lot of the kind of rural South, you know, not doing too well, right? Maybe back in the day, it was actually, there was like kind of a wholesome, you know, like Protestant work ethic, Baptist culture to it all, right? But nowadays, there's a lot of drug problems, right? There's just a lot of issues. There's a lot of poverty, a lot of crime, stuff like that. And the reason I kind of bring all that up, right? The reason I bring all that up is to say that we often criticize, I think, inner city poor people basically for voting Democrat so often, which is a valid criticism because it's like, you know, you guys live in Compton, you know, South Chicago, whatever, inner city Atlanta. And these places are terrible, and places are poor, and these places are a disaster, and there's no families, stuff like that. But you keep on voting Democrat. And by the way, this is not a case to vote Democrat, but I think there's also something to be said about the fact that I think there's a lot of places in the Deep South that Republicans basically have not really done a lot to help. You know what I mean? And it's not a case of me saying that all the people in, you know, rural Louisiana, whatever, need to go vote Democrat out of rebellion, because definitely they're not going to make it any better for sure. But it is to say, it's something I think conservatives need to kind of consider a little bit. And consider, you could probably, honestly, how many of those people in the Deep South do you think? I mean, we already win the Deep South, but how much do you think you could run up the margins if conservatives actually, I mean, if Republicans specifically actually kind of took a stance of actually wanting to kind of improve the well-being of those places, stop the drug problem? Look, we know Trump focusing on the opioid problem. That was a big deal in small town America. That was a big reason why Trump is revered in small town America, right? Because you go up in the Midwest, his whole campaign kind of highlighted sort of this issue of opioids back in 2016. I don't even know how much he necessarily directly spent on it, but the sort of MAGA culture made a big deal out of it. And he also, you know, talked about the leaving of industry out of these tiny towns that has hollowed them out and destroyed them. You know what I mean? That was a big reason why Trump was so popular among these places. That's why you go to these places, you will see Trump signs everywhere. Do you really think it's because he was all about small government or whatever? Do you think that's why he's a hero? You think that's why he's a hero to rural America, to small town America? Because Donald Trump believes in limited government. Maybe to an extent. I think the real reason is because, you know, he kind of symbolizes a caring of these places that have been left abandoned, left neglected. That's to say, you go to these places. Imagine if you had a Republican Party in these states that actually kind of highlighted these places, pretended to care about these places, you know, really kind of took what Trump did in 2016 and really like fleshed it out. You know what I mean? Really like got with this whole national conservative populist message of, you know, not just this free market to just leave you dry, whatever, the small state government to leave you dry, but a little bit of, you know, we're going to revitalize your rural communities. You know, we're going to fix it. Maybe bring you jobs, the right jobs. Okay, don't bring them to big tech jobs, but bring you the right jobs. You know, invest in these places a little bit. It's kind of stand up against. It's not so much a thing in the South, but it is a thing in the Midwest. Stand up against the companies that are moving out of your towns and hauling them out. How do you think you would do in the Deep South? If anything, I mean, look, they vote for you anyway, but if anything, I think a lot of these small towns, you'd be running up the margins. But it's going to have to take conservatives to the Republican Party specifically to kind of break from, you know, pre-Trumpism and then expand on basically what you could say is post-Trumpism, which is an expansion of Trumpism, right? Something to consider, something I was kind of thinking about. Sam Matson says, I was in rural New York and some of it looked like a slum. Most of rural America is like what you described, sadly. That needs to change. No, it's so true. That's the thing. You go to rural America, a lot of these places. I mean, there's some places like there are some places I've been to in rural America that genuinely feel like wholesome. This is a wholesome small town. Everyone's so happy. Everyone's so nice. We love it. There's a lot of places though, you don't really get that feeling. It's not really the paradise of just being away from the inner city liberals and all that stuff. It's actually, yeah, it's a slum. It's poor. It's struggling. There's a lot of drugs, a lot of meth, and all this stuff. And it's like, what if the Republican Party actually kind of ran on actually, let's be honest, actually care for those people, actually tried to kind of fix those places. You know what I mean? And like I said, we criticize the inner city Democratic Party for doing the same thing. But to an extent, I think there's also something to be said that Republicans take a lot of small town America for granted too. That's why Trump was a big deal. That's why small town America still has Trump signs up to this day. You drive through rural America, you will see Trump Pence signs still there from 2020. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they revere the guy so much? Strong case to be made. This is really, and like I said, let me reiterate. That's not me saying that because Crowley, Louisiana doesn't have a bunch of Apple stores and whatnot, that it's a bad place. I'm not saying that at all, because I have always been the first person to say that prosperity is not measured by consumerism. So I think it's genuinely possible that you can have a place that is not the most economically developed, does not have the most consumer goods everywhere, but is still a happy, prosperous place. You could definitely still have that. And that does exist in some places. But a lot of the modern American South, a lot of modern rural America, it's not prosperous. And I don't just say that because, like I said, I don't just say that because of economics. I say that because the people have a huge, there's a huge opioid problem. How many people in small towns are dying of opioids? I don't know. Pull up the statistics. It's a whole lot. It's a huge problem. The family structure is not what it used to be. Now it's better than the inner city. Definitely better than the inner city. You definitely see a lot more dads in the rural South than, the inner city, undeniably. But you still have that type of problem. You still have the problem of the declining of culture, To be honest, I'm not accusing them of being this, but most of the people I saw in Crowley, Louisiana, they were not like traditional rednecks or traditional cowboys or whatever. They, to be frank, a lot of them look like meth up skinheads. That's really what a lot of these people look like. It's kind of what you're witnessing in rural America these days. It is in a way dystopian as well. I know the inner city is dystopian. In a way, rural America is too. And what I'm making the case for is not to vote Democrat. I'm not making that case. What I'm making the case for is a Republican platform that actually kind of tries to address this. I think if you did try to address this, you already win the rural South. You already win small town America. But if you did try to address this, you could really run up the margins. And if you want to talk about the fact that, like we brought up earlier, in order to make the country more conservative, we're going to have to spread things out, right? Because urbanization drives liberalism. The more densely packed people are, the more progressive they will become. It's like a social science fact, and we've talked about that. We talked about that multiple times the last few weeks. If you want rural America to be revitalized, you're going to have to give people someplace to move to. That's not to say, again, to invite big tech to rural America and ruin that too. I'm not saying that, but I am saying it's going to have to be a little bit better. It's going to have to be doing a little bit better than, like Sam Madison says, a lot of the rural places in this country, a lot of the small towns in this country are struggling, are full of opioids, are basically rotting and decaying like slums. If you want to revitalize rural America, but first, in order to kind of get people moving away from the cities, which in the long term of things will drive more conservative voting patterns, right? If you want to get them to move away from the cities, you got to have rural America in some degree of prosperity. There has to be something appealing to people about rural America. The same way Florida and Texas are appealing places to live. If you want to basically get more rural people, which again will make more conservative people in the long term, even if in the short term they're still voting Democrat, in the long term, that social science fact will drive them to be more conservative. Okay. If you want to achieve that in the long term, you're going to have to make rural America be doing better than it is right now. And right now, it's very dystopian. You don't go to these places and you get like some country town, some western town, and everyone's like, "Howdy, y'all," and it's so wholesome and everyone's so happy and so kind. Like, for the most, really, what you get now in a lot of rural America, like I said, is opioid addicts, meth addicts, and skinheads. You know what I mean? And that's not what you need. Like, we need to be doing better than that. And if Republicans make it their goal to be doing better than that, in the long term, what happens? Not only are you just going to get better, rural America doing better, voting even more Republican than it already does, but you also get something actually attractive about the country lifestyle, which in turn will de-urbanize America to an extent. Something to consider, something to think about, So, Ask Hutchinson sucks. The way you measure success and happiness is happiness and economy made for families. There are some trailer trash folks. No, I agree with that. I mean, I agree with that. Like I said, it's not about the fact that, there's only Walmarts in these towns. It's not about that. But you can visibly see the struggle in people too, And I will say, if you go to like rural Texas, a lot of what you see are actually just happy people, They just like this small town, simple living. We appreciate that. But a lot of other places in this country, you go to the rural areas, like I said, you will kind of just see, you will definitely see struggling people. You can visibly see that they're struggling. They're tatted up, they're almost kind of like ghetto in their own sort of sense, right? Meth, you can see it in their teeth that they've been on meth. Those are not prosperous people. Those are not people living in prosperity, right? I've been all over the country, and the worst honestly seems like the rural lower Midwest, Missouri, Ohio, down to Illinois, etc. I haven't really been enough to those places, so I don't know, but I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it. I can tell you, rural Louisiana, yeah, it's yeah. Honestly, rural Florida, not so much. Louisiana, yeah, you can kind of tell. You can kind of really tell. So, it's true. Minimalist mentality too. We like that. I'm not against that, but like I said, I want to reiterate, it's not about just the consumerism. I know you can't, you don't have 24-hour pharmacies in those towns. I get it. You don't have big malls or whatever with PacSun or whatever, It's not about that. So, TV N64 says, "Why are you slandering me? I don't like Apple. What I meant is a G-Shock." Okay, we acknowledge that. Okay. All right, but it's still still not the move. Still not the move. We're still pro analog watch. Okay. Still kind of miss the Blue Dogs and Dixiecrats, but to be honest, they led America to its ruins. I don't know if I'd say they led it to its ruins, but Elite says, "Have you been to Temecula, California?" I think. I don't really remember it though. That's in like Inland Empire, isn't it? I don't really remember though. Retracted said the big issues when big agriculture became a thing, took all the farming jobs and mom and pop farms. True. That is one thing that is very wholesome about Florida. Okay. So when you go to most places in this country that have cattle, right? Cattle farming, cattle herding, they live on cows. You will see big, I saw this in California. You go to like Kansas, Texas, you'll see this big, gigantic ranches, right? With like a bunch of like hundreds and hundreds of cows, like for a long time, all packed together, right? And those are corporate, right? Those are corporate industrial cattle farms, ranches, whatever, right? Those are owned by some big industry corporation, whatever. In Florida, it's very interesting because you go here in Florida, you drive around, kind of north of Orlando, stuff like that. You'll see cows on the side of the road. But you never see these big like cattle plots that you usually see. You'll see kind of small enclosures with like 4 or 5, maybe 6 cows in the thing, or cattle, whatever. No, I think they're just whatever. You know what I'm saying? Livestock, okay? You'll see livestock, but there's like this small amount. So I kind of researched it. I was like, why is this? Because I don't see like these big industrial farms, and that's the thing about Florida. They still have like family-owned ranching here, which is so wholesome and which is so incredibly based. Okay, we love Florida. Okay, actually, I know someone whose dad is one of these ranchers, and he told me, yeah, it's like, yeah, basically, the corporations have continuously been trying to buy up these ranches and buy up this land. It is the farmers actually who kind of all the ranchers, I should say, all collectively kind of agree, like, we're never going to sell. We're not selling. We love we love living like this. This is our thing. And the big corporate America is not just going to come in and buy it up. And I'm like, that is so epic. That is so incredibly epic. That is so incredibly wholesome. Okay, you still have family-owned ranching and small mom and pop cattle ranches out here. We love to see it. We love to see it. Okay, it's so wholesome. But Vince, that's actually less efficient. All the small farming is less efficient economically speaking. They should just sell because it'll make them more money, and because they're rational individuals, they should take the cost benefit of that and understand that it's better for them to sell the farm to Tyson Foods. Yeah, shut up. Seriously, shut up. You freaking libertarians. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I love Florida. It's so true. So true. We love this place. We love this place, man. I've not regretted moving here for a second. Although I don't think that's much of a surprise, but there's a lot of great things about this state I've discovered, and the whole issue with the small time ranches. I visibly enjoyed learning about that. That was fun. Rural Florida is bad, Vince. I was in a place called Lafayette County, Florida, and it gave me chills. Everyone just stares at you, and it almost looks like third world. All right, I've not had that experience in rural Florida. I will say I've not had that sort of experience. Okay. All I see is cows in rural Florida, and I'm like, oh, cool, cows. Cows that are not corporately owned. I will say a lot of these small towns in Florida don't have that problem. I don't know if you consider them rural, but under 200,000 people. Very nice people here. So William says, hey, Vince, it's my birthday. How are you? Happy birthday. Happy birthday, King. We'd love to see it. How old are you? Let me guess. Gotta take a guess. Let me guess by profile picture how old you are. So you have a car as your profile picture. That's usually a more like older person thing, but it also could be a younger person. I would suspect you're either like 14 or like 30. Am I in the ballpark? I'm going to say it's your 17th birthday. Is that a correct guess? If that's a correct guess, I'm amazing. I don't know if that's a correct guess at all. 16. Oh, I was close. I said 17, right? All right. Happy birthday, King. We love to see it. Happy 16th birthday. Don't crash. Don't crash your car. All right. I don't know if you're going to get your license at 16, but if you do, be safe on the road. Be safe on the road. We need you, King. We need you. John says celebrating birthdays is cringe. I don't care. Okay. You know what? It's one of the one things that American culture has that's somewhat unique and somewhat wholesome. Don't let them take it from us. Okay. Yeah, I know. Asia doesn't celebrate. The East doesn't celebrate their birthdays. Just let it be. Okay. It's fine. It's wholesome. It's something unique to us. I don't see the issue. Conservatarian says, I've been to a few small towns and rural areas around Florida. You got a few that are just gone, messed up, and major issues, but but a lot are just in need of some care. The community's there and thrives. Yep, exactly. Move Disney out of Florida and everything will be fine. It's true. It's honestly true. Disney's probably the worst thing Florida has going on. I don't really want to go to Disney World out of principle. At CPAC, Chandler Crump and Kongman Lee dragged me to Disney Springs at CPAC. I did not enjoy that. I did not enjoy that at all. and they wouldn't stop harassing us about masks. And I was like, yeah, I remember. That's why I hate this globalist New World Order company. Joke! Just a joke, YouTube. I would never accuse Disney of, literally being ran by Satanists and putting Satanist symbols and things. What am I, some kind of conspiracy theorist? But no, seriously, I hate Disney. I'll go to Busch Gardens at some point. I really don't have a desire to go to Disney World, okay? I don't like Disney World. I don't like Disney, okay? Yes, did I grow up going to Disneyland a lot? Yes. I don't know if I could even principally take my kids to Disney. Maybe I'd be forced to. I don't know. Dad, can we please? I'd be like, oh, fine. I don't know. But for now, where I don't have kids and I can stand on my principle, yeah, screw Disney. I don't want to go to Disney. Screw Disney. The girlfriend that I don't have, if she ever is like, can we please go to Disney? I'm like, no. No. Chad Wojak. Can we please go to Disney? I want to see the Mickey Mouse. No. Can you please go to Disney Springs? I want to go shopping. No, we're not. We can go to Busch Gardens, okay? Screw Disney. I don't like Disney. Disney is our enemy. They're the enemy, okay? You know, fine. Like, I get it. Universal's not, they're kind of in on it too, but I don't care. It's just Disney, okay? We can go to Universal. We can go to Busch Gardens. I'd rather go to Busch Gardens. I like roller coasters. Disney is not known for like amazing roller coasters, but Disney itself, no, I'm just not doing it. Okay. John says one Disney trip per lifetime is acceptable only if you're a kid. No, I think multiple are if you're a kid, but I'm not a kid and I really have no desire. Yes, when I'm a father, I might get kind of guilty and take them to Disney World or whatever, but we'll talk about that when the time comes, okay? For now, for not letting it happen. But now I feel kind of guilty because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, are my kids really, especially when all the other kids will have gone to Disney World and I'll be like, no, you're not going to Disney World. It's like, fine. Because kind of make me a little bit guilty, but I don't care. You know what? I'm not a father yet. Okay. So we don't have to worry about that. No Disney, not even once. Okay. Maybe even once, but you know what I'm saying. Okay. You know what I'm saying. Farm right kids don't even know Disney exists. True. Disney World is based. Disney isn't. Yeah, but okay. Disney Springs being absolutely harassed about masks the whole time, nearly getting thrown out of the place. I just couldn't stand it. Okay, I was just like, I hate these people. Like even in California, places don't care as much about you wearing a mask as the employees at Disney Springs do. I was like, it reminded me, yeah, it's Disney. It's like the most post-liberal globalist corporation in America. Like, yeah, screw these people. I don't like Disney. Vince, by the time you have kids, Disney probably won't be as hype. You're remembering Disney from a childhood. They're getting, yeah, that's true. That is true. You're right about that. I was in Dave and Buster's and this guy followed me around because I didn't have my mask on. Okay. I've never had that experience. I've gone in Arizona. I never had that experience, but hey, no mandates here, so they can't say anything. Taoism is not greater than Vincedao nationalism. This is just not true. Taoism is a weird, cringe, hippie thing from ancient China. Vincedao nationalism is based. There's a difference. Okay. So Narnia is based, though. I'm not principally against Narnia. I don't know. I guess we can accept Narnia. I don't know, to be honest. Imagine thinking anything Disney is based. It's true. It's not based. Vince would rather have been at the Arab Spring than Disney Springs. Yeah, honestly, yes. Okay, honestly, yes. I did not enjoy Disney Springs, okay? If you live in North Florida, I don't. I live in Central Florida, but I can go to North Florida. As I suspect you should check out that county I told you about. It's probably not even that far from you. Lafayette County. Okay. Should we see right now? How far is Lafayette County? We can film a VinceDao documentary there. MFer is like, oh, I'm making a documentary. You don't even go to the places they're talking about. All right, so it's like a 3-hour drive from here. Okay. One day we'll go. We'll head out there. Vince, no, he's trying to track you. I know he is. But I gave an ambiguous time stamp, so there you go. Oops. Lalo says, I never wear a mask outside of college in Arizona, and I'm doing fine. Yeah, Arizona is pretty chill about it, but I don't even wear a mask in college. So, haha. Let's go. Florida W, total Florida victory. It's true. All right. Don't dox, dude. I knew what I was doing. Okay, I knew what I was doing, and maybe I lied to you. Maybe I literally gave you a wrong timestamp to mislead you, or maybe it's deep fake and it's double. I don't know. Figure it out. Go ahead and do it. So, and also 3 hours in which direction? You don't know this. You have not taken into account the fact that I have taken it into account. So yeah. I am 3 hours from Lafayette County. Deal with it. Come find it. Where do I live? Speculate. Go ahead. I don't care. Go ahead. So, Disney helps delay adulthood for all young women. They get so involved in going to Disney every weekend instead of making babies and sandwiches. You'll see it with girls at your college who are obsessed. I will say, to be fair, it is true that it delays adulthood, but it's like slightly more wholesome than them getting involved in rap music and partying and being a slut. So I will say and that's not to say it stops them, but if it's, I don't know. I think I'd prefer they stay immature than, into, the what most college girls are. So I don't know if I fully agree with that, to be honest. So I know where VinceDao lives. I will blackmail him. Oopsie, my bad. It's very funny. It's very funny how you guys assume I have not taken into account, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I did not take it into account. Who knows? Speaking of Florida, though, if you live in Florida, I'll be speaking at a rally this Saturday. Okay, we're going to be holding a rally to demand that the state legislature actually do something about these mandates that are happening in private companies and whatnot. And that'll be in Tallahassee. Okay, this Saturday. All right, it's called We Do a Little Bit of Peaceful Protesting. Okay, it'll be great. APU's involved. Great time. So if you're free this Saturday, stay tuned. I'll be posting about it on Instagram and Twitter with the full details. But State Capitol, Tallahassee, 1:00. Okay, this Saturday. Hope to see you there if you're in Florida. Secret location of Bishop Sycamore High School. Bishop Sycamore College. Thank you very much. Bishop Sycamore College. Okay. Just call me do a little bit of reverse psych. It's not reverse psychology, but how do you know that it is? How do you know it's not just real psychology and it's just me covering my tracks? I don't know. Okay, in all seriousness, I do actually live 3 hours from Lafayette County. Okay, it's kind of ambiguous. There's stuff around there, so I'm not really scared of saying that. Bishop Sycamore, such a wild story, bro. No, it's not. It's just slander. Okay, I'm a student there. I go there. I know. Okay, you all don't know. Y'all don't know what's going on. So, no, disavow Paleo Nation. That's not true. That's not what's going to be happening. No, it's going to be peaceful protesting. Okay, we will be doing this. You're just Fed posting in chat. Stop this. Shame on you for Fed posting in chat. Shame on you. Paleo Nation is a Fed. He's a Fed confirmed. We knew it. He unmasked himself. It was like me doxing where I live on accident, and saying I live 3 hours from Lafayette County, Florida. Okay. He basically just did that to himself. So ban and report. I'm joking by the way. Okay, he's not actually a Fed. Don't actually ban him, please. But now we will call him a Fed. Okay, now his reputation in chat will be Fed. All right, that's what he gets for Fed posting. Sam Matson says you're in Orlando. I know that's a 3-hour drive from there because I did that drive 2 years ago. Maybe. There's a lot in Orlando though, so I don't know if that really doxes where I am exactly. I mean, Orlando's a pretty big place, so go through there on the way to Tallahassee. That is true. Although to be honest, it's such a long drive, I might just want to get there, but I don't know. We'll see. So, Vince, what is the best type of coffee? I personally think black coffee is the best, and any other kind is weak. Black coffee is the most manly. So I agree with that. I won't say I always drink black coffee because sometimes I do put creamer or half and half in it to just make it taste better. But yeah, black coffee is the most based for sure. Probably Nerdy says if you're going to dox yourself, you might as well do the apartment tour then. How is it doxing myself to say I live around Orlando? Orlando is like, isn't it like top 10 biggest cities in America? It's not exactly like a huge dox to say I live near Orlando, okay? Exactly. If he's in Orlando, I never even try to find him. It's not like Tallahassee or Gainesville or something, it's a big place. It's a big place. So, I don't know what you're even trying to get at here. This is so funny. I'm like leading you guys on. How do you guys know I even go? Do you guys think I'd actually admit that? Or would I? I don't know. I did admit I lived in LA. That's true. So maybe I don't know. But it's very entertaining. Now you will speculate. If I'm doing this on purpose to lie on purpose, or if I just did it on accident. And now I'm just like, oh yeah, I live in Orlando. Deal with it. It's very funny. This is hilarious. Okay. You think I have not planned for this? You think I don't know what's going on here? Okay, maybe I do. Maybe I don't know. Non-locals call most of Orange County Orlando, so it really isn't that. I know. For all we know, you could live over in Winter Garden and just call it Orlando. Hey, you can come to Orlando. You can try to look for me. Okay, I'll say hi if you find me. But good luck. Vince is performing a massive amount of trolling. No, I'm not. I'm not. That's just where I live. Why would I be trolling? Why would I be trolling? I told you guys I lived in LA. I told you guys I lived in the Valley. Why would I be trolling? Never do that. I'm about to dox Vince. He's been lying about you this whole time. He actually lives in Taylorsville, Ohio. No comment. An international manhunt for Vince Dow. It's not where's Waldo. It's where's Vince Dow. Where is Vince Dow? He says, what do you think about the school board elections in Florida? At least my county, Brevard. Candidates get to have the title nonpartisan. It's not transparent whatsoever. Yeah, nonpartisan is ridiculous. I always kind of like that in California a lot of times too. But yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know really the specifics of how it all works there, but that sounds very very misleading and annoying. So where in the world is Vince Dow? It's so true. Where in the world is Vince Dow? Sam Madsen says, I'm good at finding stuff, so I'm on to you, bud. Orlando's pretty big, Sam. Orlando's pretty big. I don't know how you think you're going to do that. Okay? You can drive around Orlando a lot. I don't know if you're really going to do a good job of finding me. So, John says, what do you think about the whole that whole situation? I mean, I don't know if I have takes on it. I don't have comments on it. It's just a tragic situation. I mean, that's probably about it. Vince is in Afghanistan, really. What if it was none of these things? What if I'm actually broadcasting from St. Petersburg, Russia? How would you know? How would you know? How would you know I'm not just simply an agent for the Russian government? You wouldn't even know this. You would not know this. Nobody would know this. It's true. It's true. My real name isn't Vince Dow. I made that up. It's Vladimir Dalinsky. Okay, that's my real name. You wouldn't know. You would have no clue. You would not have taken this into account. It's so true. It's so true. Yeah. What if Vince actually is in Russia? What if I am? What if I was? Would you know? How would you even know how to react to that? I don't know. I don't know. So Vince is he's somewhere in Ho Chi Minh City. Well, that's too obvious. See, people will automatically expect I'm a Vietnamese or Chinese spy or something like that. But the Russian government, they could get away with it. So Vince, have you figured out the stalker? I'm pretty sure that page was. I'm pretty sure the page you're talking about, if it is the page I was talking about, that page is satire. Okay, it's not that I endorse that satire, but it was like a meme page. Turns out Putin is next door. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Actually, I don't know. Hold on. I know what we're doing. Give me 1 second. Guys, I swear I do not work for the Russian government, okay? I don't. Who said who would suspect such a thing? Why would I ever be working for the Russian government? Why would anyone suspect this? That's just not true. It's just such a false allegation, okay? Wait a minute. Where is that? Me working for Russia? Why would anyone ever suspect such a thing? That is so false. What are you talking about? Why would that ever be the case? Okay, why would that ever be the case? Comedy says Vince Dow drives from St. Petersburg, Russia, to LSU like a real Sigma male. It's true. It's true. Only us Russians know how to do that. Okay, only we know how to do this. So, Russia literally doesn't exist. It's a psyop. Who said that? Who said that? This is my Halloween costume, by the way. Or is it? Or is it? Maybe it's just what I actually wear in real life. Vince Dow is a Russian agent who grew up in the far east of Russia. Yeah. If you will take this into account. If you will take this into account. Vince is in Nebraska. No. I don't know where you got that from. I am everywhere except St. Petersburg, Russia. Except St. Petersburg, Russia, okay? So Vince Dow's real name is Vladimir Dalinsky and lives in St. Petersburg, Russia. Time to put it on Wikipedia. No, it's not true. So false. So not true. So not true. I disavow Vladimir Putin. I don't like Vladimir Putin, okay? It's just not true. Like it's just verifiably false. What is Vince Dow's take on beanies? I feel like if I approve beanies, people will further suspect I'm a Russian agent. So I don't know. I don't know if I should give my take on beanies. If we ever have a Vince Dow out of context page, which I don't know if I have enough clips out of context to like make that, but if we ever do, this is going on there. I can already tell. I can already tell. Okay. Vince is really the 007 of Kazakhstan. Yeah, true. True. Move to St. Petersburg, Florida after you graduate. Your Russian heritage is calling. True. True. All right. We got to end the stream soon. I went way longer than I wanted to, but this is I'm getting a kick out of this now. And it's just so funny to be doing this and like taking it totally seriously. Let's see. It's a teaming up with Life of Boris. Not true. Disavow. Disavow. Not true. He lied. The 1/4 Italian is really Russian. Red Eagle. Is it a real Red Eagle? Oh, it is a real Red Eagle. I think it is. Is that the real Red Eagle in chat, guys? Can you guys verify that he has the moderator thing? Because I can't see. Because I know, wasn't Lance there today in his Spider-Man costume with the abortionist? Were you there too? You were there too? You were there teaming up with Spider-Man? It has a check mark? Okay, so it is him. What's good? What's up? All right, that is the real Red Eagle. Bro, well, I can't see any of these things on StreamYard. That's why I asked, okay? Because we had a fake John Doyle in chat today, so that's why I had to make sure. I had to make sure, okay? It's real Eagle, not fake Eagle, okay? Red, I'm a better electoral analyst and gets more women than them. True. Eagle politics, it's so true. It's so true. Lance had better optics than all the pro-choice protesters combined, in all fairness. All right. It's true, but he is still dressed up as Spider-Man, okay? Okay, now I will say it is quite funny to be like Spider-Maning against feminists, but still. I'm not a fan of the Spider-Man costume, all right? Where is this video? I need to see it. Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll be out. I'm sure. So if it was a John Doyle video, I'm assuming you'll probably see it within the next 2 years. That's probably a good estimation. Angus, we can't see your comments. Don't worry. We do a little Russian posting, true. Or maybe I just did this because you guys were onto where I lived, and so I just did this all as a distraction. I don't know. What is the deal with Vince? What is the deal with Vince? I'm just further becoming an enigma at this point because, you know, I accidentally revealed that I live in Orlando, and then I said it's not Orlando, and then I said I live in Russia. It's all over the place. It really is all over the place. Okay. Oh, there's no. Well, you got to make a video of that. That's wow. Didn't even make it into content. Everyone's just trying to dox me right now. This is so funny. I didn't see your message. Okay, I didn't see your message. Speak Russian. I can't speak. Why would I know how to speak Russian if I'm not Russian? Hold on. This is so stupid. Does the Celeste Hotel ring a bell, Vince? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Whole time Vince is in his mom's basement. Bro, whole time Vince is literally on Mars. He's literally just on the moon the entire time. Wilson says, are you in favor of bringing back the title Tsar to Russia, you Russian agent? For Putin, we'll make an exception. All right, I gotta end the stream because I have stuff to finish, but I'm enjoying just reading chats totally seriously dressed like this. It is honestly pretty hilarious. But yeah, with that being said, guys, we'll wrap up. William says, can you get John to get a proper upload schedule? I don't have that kind of power. And I'll see you guys later. All right, have a good night, everyone. Reminder, I am not from Orlando. I am from Orlando, Florida, or I'm not, but I'm definitely not a Russian agent. Okay, all right. See you guys later. Have a good night. And go America, obviously, not Russia, America. Okay, see you.
In leaving it, I do so with this prayer. May God's grace be with you in all the days ahead.
He is a globalist, and we are nationalists. He believes in some Pax Universalis. We believe in the old republic. He would put America's wealth and power at the service of some vague new world order. We will put America first. So today we call for a new patriotism, where Americans begin to put the needs of Americans first. For a new nationalism, where in every negotiation, be it arms control or trade, the American side seeks advantage and victory for the United States. And the people of this country need to recapture our capital city of Washington from lobbyists and registered agents of foreign powers who are hired to look out for everybody and everything except the national interest of the United States. And our Western heritage is going to be handed down to future generations and not dumped onto some landfill called multiculturalism.